Hi everyone and welcome along to Sonic Academy. Today we're going to take you through something very, very special. We are going to showcase our brand new plugin. It is a massively lush sounding reverb called Vela. And Phil,
Yes.
can you show everyone how beautiful she looks?
Yes.
Wow.
So this is our new plugin reverb. And I think just initially we'll just take you through some of the cool presets and
Yeah.
then we'll go into some depth as to what it is all about. So let's start with the perfect drum studio. So some nice drum studios. The cool thing is we've got the ability to do really nice gates.
So you're kind of getting the RMX 16 vibes.
Yes, and we actually have some proper non-linear stuff there.
Oh, look at that.
And then some. What does that sound like, Chris?
The 80s.
The 80s, exactly.
It's, I think, from me playing about with it, the one thing that this plugin really excels at is the room simulations.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant at that.
So there's some drums, and let's have some piano. Let's see if we've got a wee piano part. Yeah, let's look. We'll go to the studios for that. Some of those scoring stages are really nice.
Some really lovely early reflections in there.
Yeah, so you get really good. I think that's it's quite hard to do smaller rooms in convincing rooms with feedback networks.
And you can see there we've recreated some of the classic reverbs.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff from the 480L, the large wooden room from the M7, a few other M7 ones. And this all sounds like it might be convolution, but we have all the controls that you would get in a normal algorithmic reverb. I'll go through some vocals quickly, and then we can go into the
nitty gritties. We'll do a deep dive.
Oh, I've started recording.
I'm shattered by what I found in a million pieces on the ground. There's nothing you can say to change the past. It's like fixing broken glass.
Got some delay.
I'm shattered by what I found.
Very nice.
In a million pieces on the ground.
And let's do some synthy stuff. We've got some big halls, big synth halls. We can sort by size, so let's get something big.
And we're listening for those tails.
Lovely. Okay, so let's dive into how we actually do all this stuff, because there's some unique stuff going on. So Vela is a sort of mixture between convolution and algorithmic reverbs, in the sense that we use our own custom built on the fly IR cloud, and we are able to control decay, density, and all that kind of stuff through a node-based system.
So we're kind of building the convolution at the start, and then you're able to go into algorithmic because we've built it.
It's not just an IR. It's sort of more complicated than that. So
Yeah.
we have multiple channels of these delay clouds that are spread around a space that is. We're trying to get the widest, biggest space possible, or the sort of the most spacey space.
The spacey space, lush, deep spacey space.
The most spacey space. So we've designed this custom set of convolution delay taps to create this really wide space, but we build it on the fly, so it's not a sample of an IR space like you would get in Altiverb or something like that. We are generating this constantly on the fly every time you change a parameter. So we can do really cool things with the decay time. So again, one of the things that we loved about Kick is obviously the node-based system of that absolute control that you get with Kick, and being able to fine-tune things based on time and be able to modify things over time. So we've got the same node-based system. So some of the cool things we can do is modify our decays in node space, which you can't do with a normal reverb because it's feedback based.
Yeah.
So we can do stuff like have true gates and or massive blooms.
So yeah, so it's starting small and then blooming up big.
Yes.
Which is that's kind of a unique.
So we've got all that. We can completely control our decay tail, and the other cool thing is we can do that with density. So if we bring this right down, I'll turn off our diffusion so you can hear the taps more clearly.
So that's going from 10 taps up to 1,000 taps?
Yeah, and we can get that right down to 10 and just have it 10 all the way. Or we could quickly go up to 5,000.
And that, again, that would be very good on vocals and stuff to give you those very first early reflections and then blooming into something interesting.
Yeah, and we can, do crazy stuff like going back down to 10 taps. So we've got this ability to completely control the density and the decay, and then also the filter. So we could start off with a really low filter.
Mm-hmm.
And that could even do something that reverbs don't normally do, is go backwards.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
And
Trance claps ahoy.
Yes, and more traditionally, then you would just have, a decaying filter that sort of simulates the absorption rate of the room. I'll make our density a bit more regular.
More normal.
Yeah. So we'll start off, say there. We can go up to about 1,000 now.
And in real world, densities would go from small number to large number?
Usually speaking, yeah. That's generally the vibe. So you want a quite quick density increase at the start. And we'll just put our decay back to sort of normal levels, creating a more normal reverb. So you can hear that
tail. You're looking for the tail.
Yeah, you can hear the dip in the filter. It just gives that sense of absorption in a real space. So we've got this ability to completely control every aspect of what you would consider traditional in a reverb and an algorithmic reverb. And that enables us to replicate classic reverbs such as, the 480. I've got a PCM 80 here.
Lexicon,
A few other bits and bobs. But it also gives us that ability to completely recreate real spaces. The other unique element, so that's the sort of the late section we've been looking at. If I turn that down, we can go through some of the early reflections. So we developed an app that could analyze early reflections. And generally speaking, in classic reverb design, and even most sort of modern algorithmic reverbs, there's a separation between the early reflections and the late reverb. And what this does is the early reflections part is what emphasizes the space that you're in.
Okay.
So
that tells the ear, is it a big space? Is it a small space? Is it a...
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then the late tail sort of adds the lush, decaying sound. So let's have a listen to some drums maybe through this. And we can go through some of our things. So we've got some classic ones. And some of the early ones were quite short. There was only a few taps.
And that was a limitation of technology at the time, is it?
I'm not actually sure. Well, yeah, I guess it would have been. So that's a dry. And that's with a lot. And so you can hear the sense of space there, but it's obviously not a full reverb.
Reverb.
And then we've got sort of more real spaces.
Nice.
And then when you combine those sort of that initial early sense of space with the tail, you can sort of create anything you want, really. So if I'll bring down the early reflections and bring them back up again. You can hear, generally speaking. So if you're recording in a space, if the mic is near the source, you'll get more early reflections, and if the mic is further away, you'll get less. So you can hear here when I turn down the early reflections, it sounds as if the source is being moved further away.
Okay.
So there's it really close.
Yeah, sounds much more roomy, doesn't it?
So you're getting that sort of shift from it being up close to sort of further back. And we talked about that a lot in any of our mixing courses, about using not only volume and frequency, but also using space to sort of bring things up close or push things into the background. So we wanted to have that early reflection stuff to be able to do that. And then on our late, we have, well, both on early and late, we have diffusion. So you can have that switched on or switched off. If you have it switched off on the early reflections, you get like, almost discrete taps. And actually we do have just delays in our early reflection as well.
There you go.
And they can pass through the filter and they can pass through the diffusion.
Diffuser.
So I'll put it through the diffuser and you can see what that's sort of doing to the sound. So you get a lot of diffusion there, and let's use it on one of our concert halls. So that no diffusion. You can hear the sharpness of the...
You can hear the taps.
Yeah. A bit loud there, aren't I? And that can go on the early and the late. And the early can go through the filter as well, this filter here. And we've also got pre-EQ and a post-EQ just for extra sort of tonal shaping.
And post-EQ is just in case there's something honking or, you just want to bring out, it's maybe resonating within the reverb, you can remove it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And the pre-EQ is good for sort of just pre-filtering. If you're using a vocal and you don't want a lot of the low end coming through, you can sort of get rid of that early on. And then we have down here, we have our seed. So the Delay Cloud Network is based on a random seed, which you can either just click the random button and get something completely unique. And they all have slightly different characteristics. So some might have just the way that if you think of a space, there's so many random variables in a space, whether it be where tables are, couches are, chairs are, that sort of influence how things are phasing together. And the random seed sort of just randomizes these different taps. And you can get some that maybe sound a bit bassier and a bit wider, or some that sound a bit more narrow and focused. And if there are ones you like, you can actually just type in a number. So if you find a preset and you go, oh, that network sounds really nice, you can save that and recreate it for another preset. And we also have modulation. Let's do modulation. Let's give me a nice modulated hall. And we'll go for our synth. So without modulation, you can get into an area, especially with sort of supersaws and stuff, with quite sort of pokey sounds that you get a sort of quite static sound,
Mm-hmm.
a sort of resonant sound.
Yeah.
You can sort of hear that there. And then when you turn the modulation on, get a sort of more diffused wash. And you can go quite crazy with the modulation into sort of bizarro territory.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have a pre-delay, which is pretty standard. So that's just a bit of a delay before the actual reverb starts. And then a couple of unique things. We have ducking and de-essing.
Okay.
So let's do a bit of ducking first. So turn our ducking on. We can select the amount. And you can see here we've got a nice graphical representation
Of the incoming signal. And so what you're doing there is ducking the reverb for the initial attack of the original synth, and then bringing the reverb in to give you that.
And it can be either really useful for synths if you want that initial attack to really come through, or it's used a lot on vocals. So if you want to add a lot of vocal reverb, but when the vocal's singing, you want that to be a bit clearer, then you can just duck down the reverb while the actual vocal is happening.
And now you used to set up a sidechain compressor and stuff to do that. Now you can do it all within the plugin.
All within the plugin, yeah, and save that to a preset. And then let's go back to our vocal then. Let me stop some of these.
I'm shattered.
So we have our de-esser.
Mm-hmm.
You can select.
I love the graphics of this, by the way.
I'm shattered by what I found.
You can set that up to.
I'm shattered by what I found. In a million pieces on the ground.
You can hear there that the S's aren't coming through anymore.
There's nothing you can say to change the past.
If you listen to without.
I'm shattered by what I found.
You get that big sort of high-end shimmer.
Yeah, you're getting a big swell.
Clog.
Yeah, you're getting a swell up of the S's and the F's and stuff. So again, it's just for smoothing out vocals. Really, really handy for that. And even drums, if you wanted to put a drum through it and you wanted to, dip the hi-hats a bit.
But visually, it's brilliant. You can see exactly where you're working. That focus sort of screen and stuff. I think it's beautiful.
It's very cool. Very cool
really,
stuff.
Really cool.
And yeah, so that's it. And we are going to be going into beta very soon. I guess we'll put information of how to sign up to it. Is there anything else we've missed there, Chris? I think.
No, I mean literally just the preset browser. As I think you've alluded to, you can sort by favorites.
Yeah, so we've got our favorites from. Copy that over from Kick 3.
And you can sort by decay time, which is always handy because you can go. I want a really really long one, or actually really really short, and you can sort by that or. And we've recreated lots of the Brascatis and PCMs and lexicons and stuff are all in there. I think it's a really versatile.
It is, I think that's if there's one thing that it is, it's 100% versatile. You can use it on any source material, and it works really well from epic massive synths to super tight small rooms and real spaces. So I think it covers all the bases.
And it absolutely has the uniqueness in being able to node control the decay and the densities, which you can.
Yeah, and you can create some super crazy stuff. I was messing about with this one earlier, just Bees Attack.
Uh-huh. So it shows the sort of nodes on that. So there you go, quite a very unique node system going on there that I don't think any other. We hope no other reverb is kind of doing at the moment. So yeah, we're really pleased. A lot of R&D went into this to get
Yes,
it to where it
it's
is.
been pretty much all I've been doing for the last 3 years is trying to figure out how reverb work.
Yeah,
And
but it's I'm trying to do something a bit different,
something
so it's
unique. Yeah,
not.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I've gone through millions of different reverb algorithms, feedback ones using Velvet Noise, and you're always limited by that feedback network. And we
Hmm.
really wanted something node based that you can have that. I think that's just one of the things that's just so nice about kick is just being able to stop the kick when you need to, or fully control it. And I think that's the same with
Yeah.
reverb. If you're doing vocals or whatever, just having that really nice control over the envelope. So
Mhm. Yeah. Well, so look, we all hope you enjoy it. We will see. There will be a Discord channel, Velic Beta. Myself, Phil, Brian, and Devs will be in there answering questions as best we can. And hope you all enjoy it.
yeah, cool.
So, thank you very much for joining us, and see you on the other side.